I've been running this Inside Sharing show since July of last year, and
Okay.
that is when our region got worst with the COVID situation. And what
Yeah.
bothered my wife and I back there was a lot of business leaders. They share negative news on their social platform, and we couldn't change the way that they do, but we can always change the way that we lead, right? So my wife and I decided to, can we can do something different for the people, and so running podcast is something that we've never done before, but we believe that we can, and we believe in power of stories, and good stories will
Yeah.
help people to feel motivation, to feel inspired, so that they can learn something and apply something to their lives. So that was the
Yeah.
entire purpose of what we do. And so we start with our clients, our bosses, and eventually it's reached out to more and more people. One introduced me to the next, one introduced me to the next. And you are now our 415th person joining the show. So,
Amazing.
and
Nice.
thanks.
Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you very much. What we
Yeah.
the talk features about you and the journey that you've been having, because and we will also talk about the book that you are about to
Yeah.
introduce, and we also want to congratulate for writing the book. That is a very big accomplishment, and you should be very proud of you for doing that. Okay.
Yes. I am. Yes.
Mm.
Yes. I was in fact spending today continuing some final edits, and so you can keep looking at it and looking at it. At some point, you need to call it done.
So when you think it's gonna be out to the market?
Mid-October, late October is probably what we're looking at. I'm actually meeting with my publisher tomorrow morning to kind of narrow down the date a bit. So yeah, it's going to be, we're doing ebook format first on Amazon,
Oh.
um, and then 2 weeks later, the uh, paperback comes out, and then exploring the Audible version. We're gonna do, because at first we weren't going to, given my book has a lot of exercises in it, but I think we're gonna try to see what we can do.
Wow. So,
Yeah, so a lot to get done.
yep. October is my birthday. So during my birthday, I'll get back to you. I'll ask you, how the progress for that, and
Oh,
yeah,
right.
and then
Today is your
October 13.
October what? 13?
13, yes, 13.
Okay. Yeah, I think because we were gonna look at that week
Ah.
actually. And so, yeah, so I don't know if it's that week or the next week. They're going to tell me because, of course, they got to do their thing. So,
Sure.
yeah, but I will let you know for sure. Yes, but
Absolutely.
definitely, yes, proud of that.
Absolutely. So, Amy, I would love you to help us to introduce about a little bit about you, so audience will have an idea of who you are and what you've been doing. Can you share with us?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I have been with, just thinking about my career over time, over 20 years in human resources and business. It's been about growth for me and finding moments. When you think back, finding the moments where you identified how you can be better, and so it's been really rewarding to look back at it. I thought I was going to be an accountant, and then it turned out to be that, I had an opportunity to kind of do some other things in the role I was in. And I'm like, this human resource thing is kind of interesting for me. So I decided to go ahead with that, and just kind of let go on that ride for a while. So it's been really good. For me, for many years, I had worked full time and went to school part time.
Mm.
Much of it was because of the situation I was in at the time, kind of trying to make sure we could meet responsibilities of day to day. So I had to work.
Mm.
My father had passed when I was really young, when I was 16, and so kind of
Sure.
having to contribute to the household and things like that. You had to make some adjustments with it.
Mm.
So for me, I always been very driven and accomplished in what's next. And so going to school, my bachelor's and my graduate school throughout working full time really helped me see what it is I wanted to do and kind of kept on the road of HR and really finding ways to help others and to serve others and help them be at their best is kind of what as I look back, that's really been my focus and what I enjoy the most. So for me, that's, and so I've gone into different industries and things like that. And really the most recent work for me has been, about how I help others create their future and how I can do that. And that's really for me my biggest my passion. It's just what I love to do. And just seeing people light up, when they realize, what they want to do for themselves, how they can be better, and helping them position to do that. I mean, what better thing is there to do? So my background has been in HR. I had found myself for the first time ever losing a position I'd been in for quite a long time. And, it was time. And it was then, really kind of the stars aligned. And I now lead HR for a great national nonprofit. And I get to do some things on the side, concerning coaching and thought leadership and writing my book. So, it's all the great things are coming together.
Well, what's a noble way of doing and living by, helping others to see the greatest strength inside of them, right? And help them to make their life to the fullest. So, I hope that there are more people like you around us so that, we can help the people to realize their best potential ever. And so allow me to put everything on hold at the moment, carry all the way back. Okay. So earlier today that you said that you thought you're going to be an accountant, right? And then you end up in the human resource in the space for a long time. So there definitely another version of Amy Clark long ago having a different desire of what lives to be and what job that you would want to be doing when you grow up. So when you were very, very young, at a younger age, Amy, what did you dream that your life's going to be, though?
Yeah. It's something you say that because as I was just looking at things I've written, part of my book is my growth journey too. So I take people on it, and I've done it myself. I grew up in a family that expressed ourselves through music. And, I was kind of thinking, oh, I'll sing for a living. Because it's what brought us together. I'm the youngest of 7 children. And I have 5 sisters and a brother. And, throughout growing up, music became a central component. And so for me, it's just something I attached to. It was expressive. It was fun. It was interesting. It was challenging. It was also scary because, And so we did that through, our church services. And then I just started to kind of do some things when I was growing up. But for me, it was kind of like I wanted to perform. And then, and do that and continue to grow that. So that, growing up in the family of that and all of us together in a very small, we lived in a duplex, so side by side, and all of us coming together and just doing those things. Now, not everyone would sing, not everybody could, but we still enjoyed that. So for me, that's what I was thinking for myself. And would dream about that. So it's kind of come, but it's interesting how you go through life and you come back to those things. So timely you've asked that because that's some things I've reflected on as well.
Do you still sing now?
What was that?
Are you still singing now? Do you still performing now?
Uh, no, at home,
At home?
in the
Well,
car.
well, why don't you live the dream again by performing at church again, right? Performing for others. As long as it makes you feel happy. It's also a
It
way for
does.
you to grow, and
Yeah,
build the inner
absolutely.
growth from your ends also. And I'm happy that. To see all the dots connected at the end, because from that moment in the life God, things that lead to different path, but then you got the passion again, on human resource, and then
Yeah.
starting connecting all the dot helping people. And so from that perspective, you've been in HI industry for so long. What keep you staying there for that 20 something years?
You know, I thought I wanted to get out of it at
Mm.
one point, and then I redefined what it meant for me, and
Mm.
that's what's kept me in it.
Oh, share with us, please.
Um, you know, early on, when you think how human resources has changed, and the look and the feel of it has changed in the time I've been in it.
Mm.
To me, it's because it helps me serve my purpose
Mm.
of people feeling like they're successful, and I get to do that in my job. I get to do that when I coach people,
Mm.
and so um, and really, I think of myself as a business leader that happens to know HR. And but I evolved HR for me as a way to just, how do I help people come together towards a common purpose, a common goal, and a vision,
Mm.
um, through those that are around them, by counting on each other.
Mm.
And to me, HR has a lot of different components, right? You got all these administrative functions. We bring people in, we develop all of those things,
Mm.
but in its core, all of that we're doing truly
Mm.
is for a bigger purpose than ourselves.
Mm.
And we're part of a big community and helping do that. So I've had to reframe it, and that's what's kept me in it, because I see the purpose that I have, that I can live it in doing the work that I do.
Mm. Amy, helping people is
Mm,
not easy job, right? And it takes a lot of
mm,
strength, a lot of courages,
yeah,
a lot of moment of up and down especially when you see the potential in others, but they don't see it themselves. Sometimes they got a lot of resistance also. So you need to be very resilient on the works that we do, and then it needs to constantly show and demonstrate that they can be doing that, and we are here to facilitate and help them. And there's a lot of people in our networks, in our work today, want to make something meaningful, something impactful for the lives of others,
yes,
and some of them eventually will go into the field of human resource as a way for them to do that.
yeah.
And in your experience, if we can help them to be successful at what they do, is there any skills, any things that over the years of your experience accumulating, you want them to know now, to learn now, and to build now so that they can be successful?
Yeah, and it it starts with relationships, and
Mm.
it's being a leader from the very beginning.
Mm.
Certainly, there are the technical components and the things you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn those.
Mm.
What's important to build skill, knowledge, and wisdom about
Mm.
is how to connect with people to understand
Mm.
where they are, and how the work that you do can help them become better and help the business they work in be better and be successful and meet the goals that they have.
Mm.
And so to me, it's relationships, being able to influence, being able to navigate
Mm.
different areas of an organization,
Mm.
um, being curious
Mm.
about what's going on. And so, um, and that comes with experience, but surrounding yourself, one of the things I wish I would have done earlier is surrounded myself with more people with more experience than I had.
Mm.
I didn't, for whatever reason. It just, I didn't. And so I think opening yourself up to people, not just in HR, but throughout the business you're in or outside of that, just to talk experiences like we're doing right now. Because what that does is it just opens your mind to new perspectives, and you begin to kind of pick and choose what you can use in the work that you do. So I would say certainly relationship building, how you surround yourself with people that can help you. Knowing you don't have all the answers. Others are there to help you. None of us have all the answers. Even after so many years, we still don't have all the answers. Yep. So I think that's the biggest thing is really understanding, where people are to know where you come in.
So being curious, be influenced, and being being able to navigate through the relationships so that you can help others, at the same time be open to the help of others. And I think the part of open to the help from others is very important, because
yes.
we would never know how beautiful life and people are, until we really open and seek for help, right? And like for a very long time, I was trying to box myself in the belief that I'm here to support people and our job is to help but not to get helped, until when I started to open to ask for help and things like that. The life is so amazing. People start to give advices and then give their time. They're trying to give the support as much as they could be, introduce one person to the next so that they can help me and the people in our network to be successful. And that makes us feel like, okay, the whole realm of give and take is so beautiful. It makes us feel like there's a lot more that we could do, and we yet doing to our best to helping other people. So it gives the strength and the courage to continue the momentum, though. So thanks for sharing that. We need to be more open to others, and even ask for help, Emily. That's very beautiful advice from you.
Well, thank you. And the other thing is, I believe we all have an obligation to share our wisdom, what we know.
Yep.
And I think people generally want to help. It's interesting, and I think people are kind of nervous, like, oh, I don't know what they'll say, or will they know the answer, or I haven't talked to them in a while. How do I engage with people, or if the fear that by asking for help it makes them look bad, but it doesn't. It actually shows that you're in a place where you want to learn. You want to seek out who you admire, who does it best, so you can figure out what you want to emulate throughout your career.
Yep.
And so I would say, don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. You're right. I agree with you.
Yep. So Amy, in the book that you write, basically you share your growth journey in the book also. And you want to make it something that you can share to the people and leave as a legacy. Why did you want to do that, though?
Because it's sharing my story, but it's sharing the story of leaders I've worked with over the years too. I want to do that so people can see what is possible. That people can see and have a better understanding and look at, I had moments in my life, in my career, where I knew I could be better. And I just let it go. Or I don't know what to look for to know how I can be better. And so it's really this idea of saying, for those that want to have more impact, I wanted to provide them some tool to help them see what that could be.
Wow.
So that's the essence of the book is, and the whole essence of Growth Point. It's that moment when you realize and you say, I know I could have been better at this, or I know I don't know enough about this and I want to learn.
Wow.
And and here's the other thing too, you know, we read a lot, and we've seen a lot about growth mindset, the term, and you know what it means. And I wanted to dig deeper into actually how you have it. And that's what Growth Point does.
Wow.
So for me, it and my goal is for people as they read it, they go through the exercises and what I begin to see what they envision for themselves and what their future could be.
Amy, I I have a lot of friends who are executive at organizations. That's two
Yeah.
things that normally I see the request from them. First is something that they always tell me that they could have started their own company when they were younger, all right, but they did not do. The second is that they want to write a book and they wish that they could write a book, but they're not doing it. They're not taking progress to doing that. So we always encourage them to continue to put more time to learn about that and write a book or so. So we want to bring you to the journey of writing the Growth Point. So that can you share how it started and how long did it take and the pain and the gains you had with that process? Can you share?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you know, over my time in my career, people would say to me, Amy, you really should write a book about all the things you do. Like, yeah, we could write a book. You know, people tease and you kind of say that, but deep down I knew I always did. It just, nothing was coming to me. Nothing profound was coming to me. I will say the last couple of years, I had been thinking about that and thinking about a book about growth. I have a lot of ideas about it. I have a lot of experience with that and how I've helped people do that. But here's the thing, I was not clear on the vision for myself, so that's why I was struggling with what to write. And so I would say to those people that I want to write a book, I would want to ask them why, in what pursuit. Like you asked me, you know, why? You know, and so for me, what started that off is as I learned more about vision from someone I believe we're both connected with, Dr. Oleg Konovalov, maybe. He's written book Vision Code, and I learned more from him. I learned more from him, and it sparked something with me. And so, you know, that was a year ago or so now. And so what I decided to do is he helped me see that I wasn't clear on my vision, but I also was able to see what I wanted to be doing, and writing a book was one thing. So I'm like, I have to do this. So I sought out help, and the help of a hybrid publisher, the help of someone I know who has a PR firm that's been helping me, you know, work on my own personal branding and what I'm about. So, you know, I had in my mind, I would talk to both of them about just different things. And they're like, you've got your outline of your book. You just got to start writing it. I'm like, yeah, I know. But then it's just one day, I said to myself, for me to be able to live to my future, I need to do things in the present. So I did start to write. And what helped me was the hybrid publishing route instead of the self-publishing route, because I had a form of accountability. I had somebody that set up a structure for me, and I thrive upon that. And said, you know, we'll do this first, we'll do this next, now we'll do this. And so timelines for what I was going to write about. So accountability was a key for me, and having a timeline and structure, as I said. You know, I was one of my learning moments, I would actually now call my Growth Point, I was so focused on figuring out my title, I didn't need to figure it out yet.
How is that? How?
Because I was so focused, like I had different titles going on. I'm like, how we grow, and I'm like, what is that? Okay. I wanted something just like succinct right there and never, not necessarily been heard before. And so I started writing without using the words growth point in there at all. I started to write about, how the process for growth and how I coach people. And it was interesting. I was actually literally talking to myself, reading and talking. And then I kept talking about growth and the point in which, and I kept saying and then just growth point came to me. So for me, one of the moments is I didn't want to get too tied up, and don't get too tied up on what you necessarily call it in your subtitle. Start writing. Start writing. And so for me, that was my discovery moment. I think part of the question you asked kind of more the low moments. Yeah. Yeah, when I'm just sitting there and I'm just looking at the screen like, I don't know. I don't even know what to. You're looking at it on your head and it's spinning and you're trying to figure out how to put it down in writing. And so what was, so I would take breaks. I actually it was at least a week where I didn't do anything with it. Nothing. Because, you just start to get too ingrained and you have too much noise in your head. You're just not. So that was helpful. But I think it was part of that only because I was struggling in my head, all these different ideas and feeling like if I didn't cover one, I'd be missing something. So, and knowing what I was writing about, I kind of took my own advice and said, Amy, just sit back and be quiet for a while. Just sit in the quiet, it'll come to you. And it did.
Yeah. Because it's already inside of you, right?
It is. You just kind of have to just let it out. Don't push it. Don't force it. Don't push it. And that's the biggest thing. And it's just like, be yourself. Imposter syndrome sets in too because you feel like, will anybody care about this? Well, I'm writing about this. Do people really want to know about this about me? And then, the other thing, then I realized, a book is from your point of view. And people have to get to know you.
Yep.
To be able to get connected to what you're writing about. So that was, there was a lot to my experience there. But, yeah, it takes a heavy commitment.
Absolutely.
And prioritizing it.
Absolutely.
A heavy commitment and prioritizing it. And, asking yourself, is this worth my effort? And I've always said yes.
Yep.
And so those are some of the things, but it's been an amazing journey. I started writing early in the year, but I really got deep into it over the last 3 months.
Yep.
Really deep.
Right. Amy, I want to say big congratulations for that.
Thank you.
To answer your questions, like the self-doubt that you got, right? Why, would people listen to it? We had the same issue too. When I wrote my first book, the second and third one, I always have the same, question to my mind, like, who am I to write this? And, would people listen to this or reading it? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's your voice, right? And then everybody has, everybody has something that somebody else will, will learn, from, right?
Yeah.
But what, and the thing that most important is you did it. Okay, so you did it,
right.
And you set an example for the people. Hey, if I can do that, you also can. So your voice matters. That's it.
Yeah.
And that, like you, there's a lot of time I sat in front of the monitor and literally sat there for like 2 hours without even writing a word. But it's a lot of commitment. I have to force myself to sit in front of that during like noontime to 2 p.m. because that's the most quiet time in my office, so that I can write something. And if I couldn't write anything, look at it. And sometimes it's frustrating. So, people look at me and say, hey, you look like you're crazy. I say, okay, it's okay. It's a commitment I make to myself. So okay to be okay, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Changing scenery is important too, though. I had different parts of my house I'd go to, or I'd go to somewhere outside of my house just to, that's important too.
Yep.
And that's with anything, I think.
Amy, to my big surprise, okay, I thought that growth mindset was something that has been introduced a long time ago. So I thought it's becoming popular and a lot of people will know about that. But the more people I met, the more that they had no clue about growth mindset. They understand about that, they heard about it, but then put it into practice or have a deep understanding about that is not something that a lot of people know. And perhaps that's the reason why not a lot of people demonstrate the growth mindset and the growth minded mindset, right? And then in your definition, what is exactly growth mindset?
Is that what you've learned and your skills can be developed even further, and that's how you lead your life.
So what we learn, the skill that we have can further be developed in life, right? And then, so why not a lot of people have that kind of mindset, do you think?
Well, I say that, and people will be like, yeah, I can do that, sure. I want to grow,
Yeah.
and it's more than that. It takes more than that, and I think that's been a missing element, at least for me as I've looked at it, because you see different articles, points of view on it, of it's the whole idea of, instead of saying I failed, you ask, what do I need to learn to be successful next time? Yeah, that's a piece to it, but it's in our actions and our behaviors that we really live a growth mindset, and that's where growth point is meant to be able to say, to help you actually live and lead a growth mindset. That's the whole idea. And so I think sometimes what's difficult for people is, circumstances come up for them, or things outside of the control come up, and allow emotion to get in the way, allow fear to get in the way. Any kind of emotion can cloud our judgment from that, where we feel like, what, it's okay. I'm not gonna figure that one out. I'm just gonna move on to this. What I know I can do. And so it's this idea of, I'm gonna go to what I know. I'm gonna go to where it's comfortable. I'm gonna go where I know I'm gonna be successful. Great things, but that's not a growth mindset. It's about saying, okay, with what I know and how I've been successful, what has changed around me, and where can I play in that?
Wow.
And so to me, that is part of the whole idea of saying, you hear from Marshall Goldsmith, what worked for you before won't work for you, tomorrow. Yep. It's the same kind of thing. It's really saying, I know I can evolve my skills, versus I was just born this way. This is just the way I am.
I see.
And just some choose, and that's your choice, and that's the choice you live by, and that's the choice, and it's then accepting what comes from that choice.
It's amazing the word choice that you put in here. We all have choice that we decide what to do, right? And then if we look back in the history, there's a lot of times when challenging and our grandparents, our parents, even us, we have a lot of tough time, but we have choice we make, and then sometimes that set us really apart from the other people, right? And so if I or my audience want to make a choice that matters for us, that can help us to grow, and then get to the growth point, in your advices, what would be something, the baby steps that we need to really change now and start to implement now, so that we can help us to get into the growth area?
Yeah, I think it's, well, I think it's first and foremost when we think about our own awareness.
Mm,
We talk about being self-aware, but it's how you amplify that awareness, meaning what do you need to tune into
mm,
and understand? So one of the things you can do is think about, you know, what feedback have I received? If I heard the same kind of thing over and over from people, who can I ask?
mm,
And really understanding based on what's available to you, how you can get feedback from those that count on you and those that you work with, because I think that's an important tool for us.
mm,
And you can do that anyway. I mean, I can ask you, if
mm,
what have you observed in our conversation? How
mm,
can I be better in the next one? Those are kinds of things to ask each other.
mm,
But first and foremost, it's asking for feedback, asking others to
mm,
say, what do I do well? Where are my strengths? Where do you
mm,
see that I can have opportunity? And what suggestions would you have for me? And in the moment, it's important to do that.
mm,
That's the beginning of it. Being open
mm,
to others' perspectives
mm,
is key, because you're not doing it for yourself.
mm,
You're doing it for people that count on you.
mm.
And so you can't discover these things without engaging people that count on you.
Mm. With that being said, also, Amy, long ago I talked to my team and they say about credit. When we ask for feedbacks, when I ask for somebody that have a credential that can give you, feedbacks that help you growth. Otherwise, if you ask for somebody that can give you feedback but keep you in the safe zone, it's also not gonna get you that far, right? So. I know the
Yes.
feedbacks are very important, but how can we go for the right kind of advisor, the right kind of consultant, the right kind of mentors for the feedback that can really help us to get out of get out of the comfort area and make us to do something bigger than that we think that we could be doing though.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we have a tendency to go over a fan club. Maybe that's part of what you're saying too. It's kind of like we know people that have engaged with us, and so
Mm,
it's important to find those that, depending on their experiences. And so, there's different ways of doing that. Certainly, tools within it that might be available to people from a anonymous kind of comprehensive 360 feedback form where you're connecting with people that may not just be your fan club, but those that you're I got to figure that out. I don't have the best relationship with them, and I want to hear from them,
mm,
because it's important for me to know, how do I get to that next point with them? And to do that, working with a coach is helpful to do that. Working
mm,
with, the person that, your manager, your management team, to say, who do you think I should seek
ah,
feedback from?
mm,
Because um, that sometimes then brings up, so and so, I know you don't work as often, you're trying to form a relationship. It might be a good idea to hear from them.
mm,
So I think through a coach, through your manager, and then, I think deep down, we all know there are those certain people that we don't work as well with than others.
mm,
And just, having the courage to include them in on the process, it's only going to benefit the both of you. And, having a growth mindset means that you're putting yourself in the place to hear things you may not want to hear,
mm.
but you open yourself up to it.
Ah. Amy, thanks a lot for sharing that. I will come to a few last questions for you. Okay,
Yeah.
and the first one is if you take a look at the whole journey that you've been having over the years, okay,
Yeah.
and that makes who you are today. Uh, what is it that you appreciate most about that journey?
My learning,
Learning, okay.
my learning, um, and and attaching to that, how my um, level of curiosity
Mm,
and how it's peaked and grown is probably especially in the last 5 years.
Okay, so let me out of curiosity.
I've appreciated, the people that I've, surrounded myself with to help me get there too. So, I think that's the biggest thing. That's the first thing that came to mind was learning and curiosity, because you look back on that and my opportunity to have that, I'm just grateful.
And one of the quests that my wife and I are doing now is to help people to expand their ability to think. So Vivian, she's my wife, and she's not in town, so she cannot join this meeting. She's and I also believe that the ability to think actually for people now is declining, but not increasing. So every time that we got a chance to talk to expert, we always ask them to, how do they think, so that we hope the advice that gave by them will be something that our audience can take home and think about it and apply for themselves. So I'm going to use the same question, Amy. How do you process your thinking?
It's first giving myself my moment of quiet and scheduling it, because it is hard, with the busyness of our life. But process my thinking, I first think about, okay, what did I have planned? What was in my plan? And what did I actually do? From that. But I look at that first to give myself a sense and a real honest look of, am I getting closer to what I want to achieve? And then I look beyond me, and to think and say, what am I seeing in others, or seeing in the organization I'm in or the organizations I support, that I need to be adjusting, what I need to do, the services I offer, how I guide others. I put myself in the place of the people I serve. And so I think about what it is that they're dealing with and what is most important in their mind. And I process that in a way to say, how does this change what I'm going to be set up to do now?
Wow.
And so I look inward. I start there because I just need to get that out. That's me. I just, like I said, what did I set out to do, and how did I get, how I progress in that way? But then I focus on the people I serve. What are they set out to do? And how am I helping them achieve it? Am I focused on the right things? So there's the two components, is the way I process inward, outward thinking, to then give me the sense of, I then go back to what I envision for myself. I'll look at strategy, I'll look at plans, certainly, but am I doing what is in the interest of what I envision?
So like check and balance between, what we want from the inside and the outside, situations, and whether or not, where do we need to adjust our course so that we can serve better. And also very important element of that is a quiet time also. So in the quiet time.
It is, because, I was just talking to somebody about this too the other day, was, and this idea, it's been for me, it's easier to say no to myself than to somebody else. So for me, I've decided, I'm scheduling a meeting with myself. I think we've all heard that, to think. And you've got to do it at the time when it's good for you. Listen, I can't think, much later at night. You ask me 8, 9 o'clock in the morning to think, I'm there. But if I have to think at 4 or 5 o'clock, no, it's not going to happen. So you got to look at what's good for you too. And so part of the process is identifying when you're at your best to think. And this is deep thinking. This is not thinking like how am I responding to this email, kind of thinking this is deep thought where you really have to get and ask yourself questions you may not want the answer to.
When that reminds me of the story of my wife and I we had. Okay, so I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of Robin Sharma. So he's the author of the 5 a.m. book club and things like that, right? And and for a very long time, my wife and I we argue about that because she's like the late person, and then I'm the early
Okay.
person. So we try to say, hey, can you wake up early? Then we can talk. We can try to start the day early. We can try to accomplish
Yeah.
a lot of things. And then every time that she woke up, she was like, my process not, I'm not able to think through. And then so we try to change one another. At the end of the day, we just realize it's not gonna work. So we have to find the better ways that can harmonize.
Yeah.
Her biological system and my biological system,
Yeah. There you go.
and respect the differences.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. And that took us a long time to make that kind of realizations and a lot of arguments in between because I look at this side and then she looks at this side. So I think if the world we can change, if people out there can change the way that they think and believe, that's also a good way to go to the growth mindset also, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's an understanding, and so then it's building your understanding of that and meeting people where they are. That's exactly it. Right. That's what you're doing, it sounds like.
Amy Clark, the next couple of months for you is not gonna be quiet because you're gonna go into the finalization of your book, and then there's a lot of activities coming from there. So and that is very exciting. Okay, and that journey will be so meaningful. So I hope you have all the strength, of the energy to continue to bring the best out of that. I want to ask
Absolutely.
one thing is one last thing is besides the launching of the book, is there anything exciting that you would want to share with us so that we can celebrate with you in advance, Amy?
Well, yeah, that's my big thing because it's a growth, not just, for the people who read the book, but for me. I mean, it's setting out to what I envision and living my purpose and serving myself to be, the healthiest person I can be living my best life. And
Hmm.
so to me, I'm excited about that. And that's where I'm placing my focus is that. And the great work I just get to do and talking to people like you. I think it's amazing. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you very much for spending your evening with me and with the audience of the show. I really appreciate that. And
Yeah,
like we said earlier, now you have a friend in Asia, in Vietnam. And if ever
I
you
love
travel to
that.
this country, I'm here. I would love to take you guys around for for some sightseeing, some activities to show you how beautiful my country is. Okay.
Yes, no, that would be amazing. And it's been a pleasure, just talking and now knowing you.
Same here.
Connection that'll last a lifetime. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. You have a wonderful evening. Thanks a lot and
Absolutely.
enjoy the journey. Enjoy the growth journey, all right?
I will. I will. I'll continue following you as well.
Okay. Bye, Amy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.